were starting tomorrow, how ready would you be?
Um, well, I think we've built a good foundation. I would say that, and I wouldn't say we're ready. Um, but I don't think even at the first game of the season probably ever ready. I think you build as you go through the season, and you improve certain aspects of your team as you go through the season. And you know, each game tells you something about the team, whether it's defensively, whether it's in the midfield, whether it's up front. And I think that's when you really look at whether you've got great strengths in those areas, or maybe some weaknesses that you can strengthen up and just work on little parts of the game. And I don't think that ever changes during the season. So people always say, I think there's always things to work on as you get through, and as you get into the heart of the season, then I think everyone knows their roles at least. We have a lot of obviously players coming into the group, and their job is really to find out what all the set pieces are, to find out the philosophy. I don't think it matters what formation we play. I think the philosophy is the main thing, and everyone knows what the game plan is, and that we can follow a game plan. And so far, they've been excellent at doing that. And we've been working on certain aspects of it, and they've been able to take those aspects into the practice games and do well with it. So we're pretty pleased with where we are. But I think most teams will tell you they were pretty pleased with where you are in pre-season, because you've never faced any true competition yet. Until opening day, when the crowd's in the stands and there's a bit of pressure on the group, and then you see what they can really do. And we won't know that until we play Boston, obviously.
I have a couple of timeline questions. You're going to be getting some national team players back next week, and do you know if they'll be available for that first game?
Yeah, we expect them to be available, to be honest with you, and providing obviously get through the weekend without any injuries and stuff, which we don't know that's going to happen. But yeah, I expect all three US players to be available, and look forward to having them in camp. I think they'll enjoy being back, and they've been in constant contact with me and the players, which is nice. And I think they're excited. Who wouldn't want to come and play opening day, 18,000 in the stands? So I think they'll be excited to play, and they'll bring something extra to practice, and I think it'll bring a little bit more maybe competition too. I think sometimes you get comfortable in an environment, and they'll make sure that nobody gets comfortable in the environment, that they stay on their toes. And the locker room is really, really good, and I think they'll just come in, and they've been with me a year now, so it's not like last year when I was coming into a locker room that I didn't know what kind of personalities they were, how to manage them. And I think obviously the management will be easier from that perspective, having known the players now.
And then when do you make your decisions? When do you narrow it down to 18 and get ready?
Well, I think that's pretty easy for us, because we're only going to have 18 available. So for us, I don't think that'll be a big an issue. The bigger issue is obviously picking the starting lineup, and we've been going with a steady lineup through pre-season, and it will change, I'm sure, opening day as we get the players in, and we have a look at them and what kind of shape they're in, and if whether they're going to fit what we're going to do, and if not, then we'll make a decision. Jody comes in pretty late, close to kickoff. Nadine comes in pretty close to kickoff, so they're two decisions we'd have to make. I wish they were here earlier, but it is what it is. They play Thursday night, England, so it's a tight one for her. But we're excited anyway. Whatever group goes out in the field, they've played already. They've already been in the starting lineup. Every player that will be in the lineup has played in this stadium, so I think that's important too. I don't think every player in the Boston lineup will have played in this stadium, and I think it's not an easy place to play your first time out.
And speaking of goalkeeping, you had a goalkeeper's dream training today with corner kicks and PKs.
Yeah.
And so how would you say Michelle did?
Yeah, Michelle's been in fantastic form. She was a great pro the last 2 or 3 years, being back up to Hope and back up to Nadine, but she's not a backup anymore. She's a genuine number one goalkeeper now, and I think she knows that, and she's going to get a lot of opportunity this year. And as good as Nadine is, Michelle is now. She's learned a lot from those two goalkeepers, and she's a great professional. She's great in the locker room, and she's quick around that 6-yard box, as you could see on the PKs today. She's good, man. She's in great form at the moment. I think the team believes in her. She's got confidence of the back line, I think, which is crucial. And she's been here for 2 years, so again, she feels like that this is her team, and the whole group feels like that they're part of the team. I think last year was always difficult for players coming in. Everyone wasn't sure whose team it was, and I think they're sure of it. It's their team now, that everybody's here. They've been here. Most of the players have been here for a year already, so they feel comfortable. Kat Williamson coming back helps too. She's a good leader, and I think we lacked a little bit of leadership, especially in the back line last year, and I think she'll give us that leadership.
And then finally, who from the group that you took to Tucson really helped yourself? Were there?
Well, I think, to be honest with you, all the amateur players that we've had in have done an unbelievable job, and I think that was in their preparation coming in. they got pre-season packages and they prepared themselves, and hats off to the college coaches too, because obviously they had to train with their colleges, and they prepared these kids really well, and the 5 or 6 that we've got have been excellent, and I would have no problem opening night putting one of these guys into the game, to be honest with you, or starting them in the lineup. Anytime we scrimmage, we mix and match the lineups, and you really couldn't tell if you were here. It'd be difficult to tell who's got a contract and who hasn't, and that's hats off to these girls too. And they want to be in the league, and this is a great opportunity, I think, World Cup year for them to establish themselves and get contracts, whether it be through this season or whether it be start of next season.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Paul.